Welcome back to Practical AutoCAD and Inventor. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a dimension style that is suitable for most architectural applications. This dimension style is suitable for most architectural applications and follows AIA guidelines. To begin, we're going to go to AutoCAD and make sure that you're on the Annotate tab up here at the top. And then on the Dimension panel, you can go to the little flyout down here on the corner that launches the Dimension Style Manager. Alternatively, you could just type dim style or just D at the command line to launch this. Now you'll see when it comes up that we've got no dimension style ready to go as far as architectural dimensions show. There's just this one that calls standard, and of course we know that anything that AutoCAD calls standard isn't, especially when it comes to architectural units. So I'm going to come in here and choose new, and then I'm going to give this the name AIA_ARCH, just so that I know that it's an architectural dimension style. And we're going to start with standard. I do not want to make it annotative because I'm going to be using this in paper space and not in model space. So I'll choose continue. Now from here, it brings us to the standard dimension style dialog box where we can modify everything. And rather than starting on the lines where we normally start, we're going to start on this tab right here that uses symbols and arrows. So this in this one, for an architectural style, we don't want to use closed filled arrowheads, but we're either going to use the architectural tick or the oblique, whichever one is suitable for your industry or your company. The architectural tick is just a little bit thicker and a little more bold than the oblique, so I'm going to pick that one. Now, most of the time you're going to make that arrow size 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to get rid of the value that's there and make it 1/8 of an inch. And then for center lines, we're going to say none because we don't want any center lines on there. And then everything else on this page is correct. So we've changed the arrowheads from arrowheads closed filled to architectural tick, and we've changed the arrow size to 1/8. Now the reason that I came here first is because if I back up now and I go to the lines tab, we can change a few things here. For example, the extend beyond ticks now needs to be set to 1/8 of an inch as well. If you have arrowheads on this first or on this page, it will not allow you to change this extend beyond ticks here. And we want it to go a little bit past. So notice now that the dimension line goes past those extension lines a little bit, and it gives it that architectural, that artistic feel that architects like to have in their drawings. The only other change that you want to do here is you want to say, instead of extending beyond that dimension line 3/16 of an inch, we're going to make that as 1/8 of an inch as well. So we'll make that 1/8 of an inch. We don't want to extend or to suppress any extension lines or dimension lines. And as always, we want to make sure that color, line type, and line weight are always assigned by block and not by layer or by any other factor. Now, moving over to the text tab here, we're going to choose the text style that is appropriate. And in advance, I'd already set one up that's called dimensions here. But if you hadn't done that, you can go in and use this ellipsis to access the text style manager, and you can set up your dimension style or your text style. Notice here that my dimensions style has the city blueprint, which is a good blueprint for architectural applications. And again, when you set this style up, I recommend that you leave that height set to 0. Because if I change that height to something besides 0, when I come in later on, this value right here will be grayed out and I won't be able to change it from whatever I've set in that style. So your text height here is going to be 1/8 of an inch. So I will delete that value that's there and make that 1/8 of an inch. And then we want our text alignment to be aligned with the dimension line. So we're going to click that there. Now, notice that the text itself is inside the line and we want it to be above the line. So we're going to come in and we're going to say our vertical alignment is above. And notice now that it takes that text or that dimension and puts it above the dimension line, kind of as we would expect it to be. We want our view to be left to right, which means that the text will be read either from the bottom or from the right hand side, and everything else on this page is actually ready to go. Notice that this one is not quite right, but again, we'll come back to that one a little bit later. On the Fit tab, everything else is good on this page. AutoCAD has that dialed in pretty good. We can just pass this one up. And on our primary units, of course, this is an architectural text style or dimension style, so we don't want decimal, but we want architectural. And you can change your units or your precision to whatever level is appropriate for your drawing. I'll say a 1/16 of an inch. Now on this, it has 0 suppression for 0 feet and 0 inches. And I would say that we don't want to suppress either 0 feet or 0 inches. You want to leave those both up. Some companies would say, hey, go ahead and suppress the 0 feet and leave the inches, but I'm going to leave them both unsuppressed so that it shows the way it's supposed to show. We won't be using alternate units or tolerances for any of these. So at this point, we can choose OK. Notice here now that this AIA arc is here. I can make sure that it is set current and close. And now when I come in and I put in my dimensions, let's say I want an overall dimension on this side here, I can put it in and it shows up exactly the way we want it to. It's, you know, giving me the 0 inches, which is what I want. And even if I were to come in and put in a small one that was just say 4 inches across, this is also the way we want it to look. 0 feet, 4 inches. And it is good for both horizontal and vertical dimensions, so it's going to give you exactly what you're looking for when you set this up. Thanks for watching.